It's a love and a care and a hobby.
From the minute I saw one, I've just felt it completely head over heels in love.
It rather reminds me of an E-Type Jag that a friend of mine once had.
It's just what we needed to hear. Got to wait till 2017, but yeah, hey, that's not long really.
It won't be anything like the era that's been and gone.
We all grew up wanting that badge on the end of a big long bonnet. Every petrolhead can remember their first experience of TVR. For me, as a Saturday lad in a local garage, it was a TVR Tasman. Turning up on a Saturday morning to unlock the place to find this thing waiting for its restoration under a dust sheet. Dusty, covered in moss, with an oily Ford V6 engine and half-seized inboard brake discs, but I never forgot it, and that's the TVR experience. I'm driving this glorious Tuscan Speed 6 today to celebrate the fact that, as you may know, TVR has announced that once again there is hope for future generations of discovering TVR in their own way, just like I did. Now I've come to a place today where I'm told there are loads of die-hard TVR fans, people who work on them for a living, people who drive them every day. The lure of the sound of straight sixes and V8s was just too much to resist. So I've come to find out what this news actually means, not just to existing TVR enthusiasts, but for future generations of petrolheads and people who like cars.
The TVR car club is one of the best in the world. Fantastic bunch of guys. Wherever you are, you can always meet up with people who are like-minded, interested in TVRs, and that's really, really good. And joining the TVR car club's one of the best things I've done.
By comparison with an ordinary car, it is louder and more raucous, and not as comfortable as a modern car. But then you don't buy a sports car just for comfort. It rather reminds me of an E-Type Jag that a friend of mine once had. That was comfortable and it made the nice noises, but it went sensationally fast as well.
Something we can bond over. We both love the car, love the noise, love everything about it, especially when the weather's nice. I mean, I'm looking at Sagaris at the moment. It's just something else.
It's not really a modern brand as such, as British as it is. I suppose it may stem from computer games, they're still quite popular in that sort of era, but yeah, you're regularly driving along, and it still surprises me now when you get like 2-year-olds stood with their parents shouting, "There's a TVR!" And yeah, it's a nice feeling.
I left school and I started working on TVRs in 1989 and loved them ever since. And I've always said, if I stop liking them and stop enjoying working on them, I will stop working on them.
I can afford one TVR, and I'd have to buy about 8 TVRs to get one E-Type Jaguar, I think.
It's so totally different on the road. It's it's one of a kind.
A lot of TVRs are part of the family and treated probably better than the kids.
I've always respected TVR from afar. Never for a moment think I'd ever own one.
It won't be anything like the era that's been and gone, but with a new Cosworth engine, dedicated team behind it, it'll be something special again. Definitely.
When I was a kid, the TVR Tuscan was a beast of beauty and mystery, thanks to the almost mythical Speed 12, a car which you aspired to even have on a poster. You know, supercars and sports cars have moved on, even since the last TVR to roll off the production line almost 10 years ago. But these cars still look fresh, outrageous, and stylish. And they still maintain an element of that mythical quality, which helps to entice younger generations of petrol heads to find out what these TVRs are all about. The Tuscan, as an example, is a 16-year-old car which is still, right now, every bit as desirable as the day that it shot to fame in the hands of John Travolta in the film Swordfish. But what are TVRs like to drive? In a word, incredible. This Tuscan is so raw. It feels so special. It's got a 4-litre straight 6 engine with allegedly 350 brake horsepower. And it sounds like a tractor, but it pulls like a train, as the cliche goes. Actually, a tractor's unfair. It sounds like an old Mark III Fiesta with a pushrod engine, but it's meant to. This is a beautiful example of what they were like when they rolled out onto the seafront in Blackpool. You did know that there's only a seafront and a disused factory in Blackpool, didn't you? These are cars which look like supercars, handle like supercars, accelerate like supercars, 4 seconds to 60. They really are supercars. And I tell you what, they do this. I could do that all day. In fact, you know what, I think I might. Just incredible. They'll probably want it back at some point. I'm not going to talk about the well-documented quality or reliability issues that you'll find if you do a Google search for a buyer's guide for a TVR, because quite frankly there are enough classy design touches, engineering quirks and shiny things to make you happy, even if the wheels fall off. Which hopefully they won't. It's not mine. You can't beat the rumble of a TVR, and nor can you match it, which is strange given that many of the engines that have been used over the years were hardly exclusive to Blackpool. You know, in 1949, when they launched their first chassis and bolted on a 35 horsepower side valve engine, I bet even that sounded good. It wouldn't be a TVR film though without mentioning a few other shared items, from Cortina rear lights to interior trim that would give a variety of drivers déjà vu. It's probably a fair assumption that those days are gone with the new TVR, and perhaps for some, with them some of the charm will be lost too. But crucially, so will the Russians. We've been waiting for around 10 years for news of the rebirth of TVR. As you can imagine, there's been a flurry of excitement in every corner of the internet. In fact, if you're watching this and you didn't know about the news, then I must have put a search tag for gardening on YouTube. By mistake, of course. Here are a few facts about the new TVRs that I think you should help me celebrate. Firstly, all the cars will be manufactured here in the UK. We're not sure where yet, probably not Blackpool, but in the UK. Gordon Murray will head up the design team, the man behind the McLaren F1 road car. Who better? Cosworth will put their name on the rocker covers. And I say rocker covers plural, because there will be two. The cars initially at least will be fitted with big dirty V8s. They needed to be, didn't they? Actually, they probably won't be as dirty as the previous ones, and they'll probably have to put a few conventional design lines in there for crash tests and ABS and traction control and things like that that are a bit out of character. But we can forgive them for that, because I think we can safely say one thing. There'll be no hint of hybrid technology or electric motors on the new TVRs. Well, there shouldn't be anyway, because that just wouldn't work.